A very good morning to all. Welcome to science class. In the previous class, we had studied the insectivorous mode of nutrition. In that, we had seen how plants derive their nutrition using the insects only for its nitrogen fulfillment. Pitcher plant was an example. Now, today, we are going to study a different mode of nutrition, and that mode that we are going to study is about saprophytic plants. Plants which obtain the food from dead and decaying bodies of other organisms are called saprophytic plants. You can see in the diagram the plants which are shown, they derive their nourishment, they derive their nutrition from other bodies, but those bodies are dead and decayed organisms present. Various types of fungi like mushrooms and yeast are saprophytes. You can see in the diagram how a mushroom and a yeast looks like. They are examples of saprophytes. That means mushrooms and yeast derive their nutrition from the dead and decaying organisms. Fungi secrete digestive enzymes on the dead remains to digest or break down the carbon compounds they contain. The resulting solution is absorbed to obtain nutrients. So, this is how fungi derive their nutrition by being saprophytic in nature. The enzymes which they secrete help to break down or digest the carbon compounds, and that is how the nutrients are absorbed. Now sometimes food gets spoiled and some fungi cause diseases or illness. You can see if bread, moist bread, if you can see green structure on the bread, that is an example of fungi. Some fungi called cause diseases or illness, but some fungi have medicinal properties. Medicinal properties, that is, they have an immune system or they have the capacity to treat those diseases. Yeast and some mushrooms are useful. Yeast is used in fermentation process for making bread. Fermentation is a process of splitting up organic matter into simple ones. So for making bread, yeast is used so that fermentation takes place. Mushrooms are a rich source of iron and vitamins. Now you can see a chart. The role of nutrients and effects of their deficiency on plants. That means if they are not taken in sufficient amount, they cause some deficiency. You can see your first one, nitrogen. The function is important component of proteins, chlorophyll and cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the fluid present in the cell. If nitrogen content is deficient, the effects are retarded or stunted growth. The plants do not grow properly and yellowing of leaves. Since nitrogen is important for chlorophyll, if nitrogen is not sufficient, chlorophyll becomes deficient and the leaves become yellow. Phosphorus, it helps in conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Early leaf fall, that means the leaf fall down very easily. Late flowering, the flower doesn't blossom at the correct rate, and slow growth of roots. Potassium, necessary for metabolic activities. Metabolic, that is to carry out the various life processes in the body. If potassium is deficient, weak stem, the stem doesn't give a proper support, wilting of leaves, the leaves just fall off, they tear off, failure to produce carbohydrate. Since carbohydrates is the main source of photosynthesis, if potassium is not available, they are unable to produce carbohydrates. Magnesium, production of chlorophyll. As we all know, plants are green due to chlorophyll. If magnesium content is deficient, it causes yellowing of leaves and slow and retarded growth. Iron, production of chlorophyll. Again, if the production of chlorophyll is not proper due to deficiency of iron, it causes yellowing of leaf. Manganese, production of main plant hormones. The main hormones of the plant are responsible due to manganese, and if manganese is not in sufficient amount, it causes retarded growth and spotted leaves. Zinc, the production of hormones and their intermediates. Intermediate is the material between the hormones and a connection with the cell. So the effects are retarded growth and yellowing of leaves. I hope you have understood the role of nutrients and effects of their deficiency on plants. Thank you.